Hi, my name's Simon Farrell and this is Another Way. So Another Way is my way of trying to reach out and help people who may be suffering a bit with life. People who from the outside look like everything should be fine because everything looks fine, but on the inside that they're really struggling and having difficulty coping. Because that's the way I was a few years ago. Back then, I was the managing director and co-owner of a small business, and I was really keen to make that business a success. And to me, a successful business was a business that was growing, that was attracting new clients, it was efficient, it was more profitable, and so that's what I worked hard to try and achieve. And that was important to me because if I achieved success on those terms, it meant that I could earn more money. And more money was, in my mind, a pathway to a happier lifestyle. More money meant nicer house, more holidays, nice clothes, going out more, all those sorts of things. So that was my formula for a successful life. You know, work hard, grow the business, be a successful business person, earn more money to buy nice things, to have a happier lifestyle. But the problem was I wasn't happy. I was really struggling inside. I was full of fear and anxiety. I worried a lot. I felt confused and lost about what I should be doing. I didn't feel like I fitted in. And that was a problem because all the other people that I thought were successful and successful business people, they didn't seem to have those problems. They didn't seem to be suffering the way I was suffering. And so I kept those feelings to myself. I didn't speak to anybody about them. I just bottled them up. And what's worse is I drank to try and make those feelings go away. So beer and alcohol was my solution to dealing with those uncomfortable feelings. But quite quickly, it became apparent that wasn't a very successful solution. So the harder I worked, the more anxious I became, the more I drank, and that led to more anxiety. And quite quickly, I fell into quite a bad drink problem. And it was at that point that I was introduced to someone who said, well, I've got a potential solution for you. I've got a solution which will help with all the things that you're dealing with, but it does involve thinking about life in a slightly different way, because there is another way of thinking about life, and there's another way of thinking about success in life and what success means to you. And there's another way of thinking about happiness and how to find happiness. And there's another way to deal with those uncomfortable feelings, which doesn't involve drinking alcohol. And so I said, fantastic, that's great. What is this other way? And they said, well, that other way is a spiritual way. So at that point, I said, oh, right, okay, well, I know I've got some problems, and thanks for offering that solution, but it's not for me because I'm not a spiritual person. I don't believe in spirituality. I don't believe in God. And if I'm being honest, I think all that sort of stuff is a load of nonsense. So thanks for your efforts and thanks for taking the time, but it's not for me. And so I rejected that idea. I shunned the idea, and I just went on my own path. But that path didn't work out very well. And so 2 years afterwards, I went back to that person and said, look, I'm done in. I'm really struggling. I haven't found any successful way to solve these problems. If you think this spiritual way will work, well, we'll give it a go. But I'm telling you, I don't think it will, because I don't believe in all that stuff. And he said, well, that's fine. You don't need to at the moment. All you need to do is have an open mind to consider some of these ideas and the willingness to try some of these things out. So that's what I did. I embarked on this spiritual solution, which I didn't believe in and I didn't like, but I did anyway. And slowly but surely, some of these things, these ideas, these concepts, these practices started to work. And I knew they were working because I was feeling differently about life. And so all the difficult, anxious, fearful, worried feelings of loss and sadness slowly started to transform into feelings of happiness. But it was a really sort of profound, deep sense of happiness, which was more characterized by a sense of peace or a sense of freedom, feeling whole and aligned with life, feeling fulfilled, feeling joyful. So those were the feelings that I was experiencing. And I couldn't believe it, because that was at a time when I was not drinking. So alcohol was out of my life. I wasn't taking drugs. I wasn't on antidepressants. And actually I was earning less money than I had done previously. So all the things that I thought led to happiness, like money, drink, drugs, partying, etc., they just led to misery. And all the things that I didn't believe in, all this spiritual stuff, was leading to profound happiness. I was just like, I could not believe what was happening. And so, and actually, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really want to try and explain what spirituality has done for me and the impact it's had on my life, the profound impact it's had on my life and the life of those around me. Because there must be lots and lots of people who are out there struggling to cope with life, battling on through as best they can, and not finding a successful solution, and would reject spirituality because it's not something we talk about in our culture. It's certainly not something I talked about in the culture that I grew up in. And it's certainly not talked about in the business circles that I was involved in. And so that's what I want to do. I want to try and present spirituality and a spiritual solution to some of the problems we have in a way that's accessible to people who would otherwise reject it. And so over the coming weeks and months, I'll be writing about this topic. So if you're interested in that, sign up to the newsletter below, and I'll keep you posted on some of these ideas and concepts. And I've also created a very short online course, which is available on this website, to just try and introduce some basic concepts of spirituality, which I hope will just lower some barriers, get rid of some myths and misconceptions, and just pique enough curiosity for people to just explore the idea just a little bit further. Because my real goal, my ultimate goal, is that for anybody who's suffering or struggling with life, just to give this stuff a go, because it can be transformational. It was for me, and I just hope it can be for others. So that's my plea, that's my request, and that's what I'm doing here. So I just hope that you find some of this stuff useful and you join me on the spiritual journey.